Bună seara! Știu să vorbesc și română, dar e mai stricat așa un pic, că am crescut în Texas. Mă numesc Mihai Drăghici, sunt fondator și am scris tot codul de Pay by Face, 10 milioane de linii de cod în 7 ani. Nu prea am avut social dating apps sau televizor sau aproape nimic făcând asta, dar e ideea asta că suntem foarte inteligenți și cred că și Cornel a zis o chestie foarte faină, că in the right, acum o să switch to English, in the right context, we can all be extraordinary. You just need the moment in your life where a whole bunch of things come together that gives you the opportunity to shine on stage. So I'll start with some stories. I used to get extremely nervous getting in front of people and talking about stuff, and this is my mom's fault, because at the age of 5, in 87, before Ceausescu situation happened, she took me and my brother, we were little children, and she took us to America to make us Hollywood movie stars. That was her dream. She wanted us to go to America to make us movie stars, and it wasn't my choice. And I got to Texas, and I started doing tap dance and guitar and piano and being a dance monkey. And I didn't like it. I didn't like being on stage at all. I was more like, stay in my room, play with Legos, and don't talk to anyone. So I'm actually INTJ, and I'm pretty introvert. I'd prefer to just be by myself. But I didn't realize that till later. And I played the dance monkey part quite a lot growing up to please my parents, which I think delayed my moment of extraordinary, because I was trying to be somebody that I wasn't for a very, very long time to fit with the expectations of others. And I think society has put us in a cage because of that. And you can't shine, and you can't go follow your dreams, because you have to pay the bills, and you have to keep, your friends and family happy, and you have to do the job. And every day is just doing the job. And that kills the context of being extraordinary. And, I've been through so many different situations. I've worked for really cool people that sort of reminded me that that context is something that doesn't happen out of the blue. Sometimes it does, but that context is also something you can create yourself. Obviously, being connected, Facebook, let's connect the world. He kind of created that context. He didn't know he was doing that at first. He just wanted to find the pretty girls at school. But, eventually it created a context for connection. And this, stage is a context for connection. And, we all sit in our seats and we wait for that context or, the opportunity to just shake someone's hand. But you can also just walk up to someone and say, hello, hey, I'm here to create a context. So I think that's, the going somewhere and doing something for yourself is the number one rule for that context creation. I've worked for ex-senior vice president of Visa, ex-senior vice president of Federal Reserve. I've had some really cool mentors. I worked for an ex-military person that he doesn't exist. And I've learned quite a lot of things about that sort of context. And I want to start with a quick story, because my time's running out, and I could talk for 2 hours. But Sarah Garrison, who was the ex-senior vice president of Visa, she was my mentor for about 7 years. I created some really cool hyperscale enterprise systems under her leadership. But she told us one day at an all-hands meeting in Seattle, and she's an amazing woman. She would walk out on stage, bare feet. Everybody that sat, was 1,000 engineers. We had about 300 high-performance engineers. People would sit in the back. First thing she would say is, everyone in the back row, get up and move to the front. So all of you back there, get up come to the front. Now, right now. Come on, get up. I'm inviting you to the front seat. Come on, come on, come on. Everyone in the back, come sit in the front. That was interesting, especially engineers. We're all introverts. Nobody wants to be in the front. I want to hide and run and go back, in my little cubicle. But she told us a little story about monkeys on a beach. So there's once was a beach full of monkeys, and all the monkeys, eat sand and rice. And there's rice, and so they just grabbed the rice with sand, and they ate it. And it was normal, sandy rice. Everybody liked sandy rice. Nobody knew any different. Until one day, one of the female monkeys went out into the water and cleaned the sand, and then ate clean sand. And another monkey saw it, and then more monkeys started cleaning the rice and eating clean rice. Eventually, the big monkeys in the trees that ate bananas found out about this little interesting thing. Eventually, everybody was eating clean rice. But at first, it was normal. So if you think about this idea, which later turned into, let's break open a coconut with a stick. Let's, build a machine that can pick up more rice at the same time and automate it and create assembly lines and export and build boats and do trade and explore the world. So you could take that really simple thing of dirty data, gives you dirty output until you clean it up. And I think that's sort of the idea of AI. It's all based on data. It's what do we do with all this data? And we've created algorithms and math to clean the data, clean the rice, and start, eating the data in a more pragmatic and efficient manner. And it shows 40% annual growth rate means that more and more data is getting cleaned up, organized, and made sense of, that is faster, cheaper, stronger than our own brains can do. And we're making money with it. So obviously this is going to propagate all over industries. And, this is starting at 2022, but the idea of taking dirty data and cleaning it up so you can make sense of it, is basically ServiceNow or, trouble help desk. My first job, I studied abroad in France, and when I was on the plane coming back to Texas, I was sending my resumes out, so by the time I landed, I had a job. And my first job was trouble help desk, fix my printer. My mouse doesn't work. And I didn't know anything about computers. I just knew that I needed to make more money than I was spending to go to school. And so I had a filing cabinet of predecessors with all these papers of help desk support calls, right? Okay, I know it was an HP printer or whatever, and you had to install the drivers, and you had floppy disks, and where are the floppy disks, and all this stuff, and this was all written on a piece of paper in a filing cabinet. So if some printer stopped working on the third floor, I had to go down to the filing cabinet, go through paper, and find that file, who the hell fixed this? And that was annoying as heck, because half of my day was just trying to figure out what the other guy did. And so I built my own ServiceNow. Back in the days, it wasn't ServiceNow, but that's what I did it was called Open Ticket, and I wrote it in ASP Classic on Access Database, and I just basically did my own OCR using my eyes and my brain, and I converted documents into a database, and then put a search engine on it, so I could do it faster, cheaper, and better. Basically Google. So, it's all based on math, right? Chess, based on math. Everything is based on math. Our understanding of the universe is based on math and physics. So it's complicated. I don't know what that means. I found it on Google. But to me, it looks like E equals MC squared. So if you boil it down, it's all about, how much time, how much energy, and what's the output, That's basically what that is, basically. It's got a squared in there. It's got a sideways E. So math is obviously, the math behind AI is pretty complicated. I'll leave it to the experts. But the truth is simple. It is faster, it is smarter, and it is definitely cheaper than all of us combined. And it's just going to get more and more dangerous in that regard. And I think this is sort of the topic here is how far will we let it go? How far do we keep cleaning that rice and destroying our beach because we need more output than there is input? And eventually we're going to get so greedy, because we are humans, that we're going to pump everything into AI thinking that it's going to save the planet, blah, blah, blah. And eventually the beach is going to get eroded and we're not going to have a place to live. And obviously the impact on, the ecosystem is dramatic. Because, as you saw, there's billions and billions and billions of dollars and billions of energy being pumped into this AI, thinking that it's going to save us. But I think differently. And I've started, I started in the dot-com bubble. I built MySpace before MySpace took off, just several months. We had the hockey stick. But our investors were gold mining companies. They didn't know what Punch the Monkey ads were. I don't know who here remembers Punch the Monkey ads, but it kind of makes me 45. So, they were like, put Punch the Monkey ads all over the site. Put it in the IIS header script, so it just goes across the whole site. We're making like $1,000 a minute because of Punch the Monkey ads. And it was all based on money, not meaning. So that's kind of the concept here is that, at the end of the day, it's still our brain. Our brains created AI, not the other way around. So we have to kind of stay in control, and just as many of the other speakers said, we can't remove ourselves from the loop, and not even to the point where we're just the very last step. I think leaving the rest of it and then just going at the end and saying, hey, that looks good, that's BS. That is nonsense. That's like showing up to today, at the end of today, and saying, oh, I got it. Like, what? I missed 2 presentations and I feel bad. Like, I wish I could have seen all of it, nonstop, because that's the context. Not just coming at the end and seeing the little report, and saying, oh, that looks good. What? What do you mean that looks good? Do you even know what you're looking at? I mean, sure, okay, yeah, because it's, summary, but did you feel it? Did you experience it? Are you leaving here really knowing what was said? No, you're not, because you're just doing a job. And that's the difference. So if we're just going to pawn off the job to somebody that doesn't complain, doesn't get sick, and gets a penny a minute, you're going to get what you pay for. I'm just saying. So, we can outsource to India, we can outsource to, other countries, but it's very challenging to, I've had teams in India. I've been to India 9 times. I've been baptized twice in India. And the only reason I ended up in India is because I had to go to make sure that, productivity was what was being said by the people that were giving me the synopsis. And I just didn't believe the synopsis. And Sarah Garrison certainly didn't either. So, she sent me to India, and she was like, go over there. And I was like, okay, yeah, I will go. First week in India, I was sick as a dog. But then after that, after I puked on the side of the highway, then I was okay. I loved India. I fell in love with sort of that process of growth and development and innovation and, coming up with new ways of doing the same thing. And again, our brain is kind of in charge of all that. And our brain is also kind of faulty, faulty circuits. You start off with about a megabyte of data when you're born, and by the age of 12, 13, you have, 10 gigs or something, and then it just goes 100 gigs, and you kind of tap out at 1 terabyte by the age of 25, which is interesting. Why by the age of 25? Is that because of hardware or because of software? Because by the age of 25, think about it, by the age of 25, you already have a job, you probably found your mate, wife, kids, you probably have some sort of patterns, and so you lose exploration, kind of like, Mr. Kasparov mentioned, we've lost exploration, because by the age of 25, you're already in this society, cage of society, to where you don't need to explore anymore. You need to pay bills. So I need to pay bills. I don't need to go exploring. My childhood is over. But that's completely wrong. That's completely wrong. And so all we're doing with AI is just building another cage on the second phase of life. Okay? So society has built a cage up to 25 because you're no longer a child. And now, as adults, we're just building another cage with AI because we have to, pay the bills. Unfortunately, it's kind of counterproductive. So I'd like to sort of challenge this idea that we need to keep our brains plugged in past the age of 25, past the idea of just mundane tasks and automation and prediction and all these things that, yes, they're kind of hard on us. It makes you think, and thinking drains your energy and stresses you out, and you lose sleep, and you get things under your eyes, and your body falls apart because we're organic. And sometimes the brain is hungover, and sometimes the brain's tired, and sometimes you get overload of data, and there's all kinds of faulty circuitry in your hard drive in your head. Of course, we have emotions on top of all that. So you might think of something, but you feel totally different, which a computer doesn't do. But this is the whole reason why we've invented stuff. Most of the stuff we've invented as humans has come from mistakes, not from perfection. And so, even Mr. Kasparov mentioned in his discussion against the computer, is that, the computer doesn't make mistakes. Well, imagine if we never made mistakes. We wouldn't have so many things in medicine and in, chemistry and in philosophy without mistakes. So if we're going to build a computer to make us perfect, it's gonna be completely bad, because without mistakes, we're no longer human, and we no longer discover and explore. So we gotta stay in this as humans and as being clumsy and stupid and silly and ridiculous and as children before the age of 25, right? So clearly, a lot of people have said empathy, but intuition is also one of those that a computer can't do, and probably will never do intuition, because you have to be in the real world to have intuition, not inside a circuit board. So silicon chip is not the same as an organic material. I mean, sure, it's chemistry, maybe close, but it's not. It doesn't feel. It's like that in the cyborg movies, the cyborg, that's all silicone and bleeds white. We bleed red, okay? So a thing that bleeds white is never going to feel like a thing that bleeds red. I'll tell you that right now. You don't need to go to biology to learn that. And emotions and social dynamics. So, social dynamics, clearly, I could be an AI robot right now. You never know. It was probably pretty advanced. And, I've seen some videos that make you question if some of these people in front of a lot of people are fake or not, I mean, at least I'm not standing straight, So it could get to the point where, there's a Tesla robot up here dressed like a human, scanning everyone and trying to figure out when should I say a joke or not, because, nobody's laughing. And keeping it interesting, and it can think fast enough to do that, You probably start with comedians. I think robot comedians would be funny. But that's about it, because they're clearly depressed on the inside. So I think the best way, as we've seen a lot, let's not end up like that. The best way, clearly to predict the future is to create it, and not let something else create it for us. So that's something else being AI or whatever. So otherwise, it's not going to be our future. It's going to be AI's future. And that's scary. That's really scary. Because it's like mom taking you to America to be a Hollywood movie star when you were never a Hollywood movie star. So it's going to destroy all the extraordinary opportunity from a mathematical perspective. You're basically taking out all the variables in the mathematical equation to create opportunity and growth mathematically. So, thank you. Let's all be extraordinary.